The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, the perfect place for a pre-match pint.
There's a chance here, a great save, a turner from McClare. Might come, a terrific goal by Sheridan. Brexman against Jones. Get in. You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble with saving.
Hello and welcome to The Wednesday Week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. Before we talk about all things Sheffield Wednesday, let's introduce ourselves. I'm James, I'm your, host for this evening. And with me on your expert panel tonight, we've got Dicky Owl.
Expert? I've not been called that before.
You know, that's probably something, and it was the politest thing I could think of.
I was going to say it's usually much more, less. Less. I can't think of the word. Anyway, whatever.
Complimentary, I think is the word.
Thank you. That was what I was looking for. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm well. How about yourself, my friend, this evening?
What on earth are you doing?
I'm asking you how you are.
But what are you doing? What on earth was that noise?
That it was me clanking a bottle. That.
Oh,
is it that loud? Right. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it is obligatory at this stage that you give us a beer update as to what you're drinking. So what have you got on the go?
Well, this evening I'm drinking Kingfisher, so nothing special, just whatever was in the fridge.
Do you want to know what I've got on the go tonight?
Go on, what have you got on the go, James?
It's called Superluminal. It's a sour India Pale Ale with raspberries. It's 7%. It's quite nice, actually. Also with us tonight, we've got Vic.
Oh, well, bloody hell, thank you for inviting me on, Chuffy. I'm not listening to the contents of both your fridge. I'll go home.
Shut up, Mumpin.
What are you drinking?
I've got gin and tonic, Aldi's own gin, and a slimline tonic with lemon flavour, which is very nice, actually. And part of the reason I've lost 2 stone. No, it's from Asda. Yeah, 40p a bottle.
Bargain. Well, that's booze talk done with. Shall we do some Sheffield Wednesday talk? And we'll start with the positive,
should we just
which
give
was.
Up now? Should we just go home?
I think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about because the Fulham game on Saturday. I was there. I'm guessing that you guys listened to it and you've watched the highlights and whatnot. It was kind of picking up from where we left off second half against Sunderland. All in all, pretty good performance.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded all right, didn't it? It sounded like, yet again, Bannan had a stormer. From the highlights, it looked like he did. But obviously the highlights are highlights. So who knows? I don't know. Did he? Was he amazing yet again?
Absolutely, yeah. And there were several players that played really well, and I think that they've all been quite fairly highlighted on social media over the course of the week. Bannan was, top notch, and it was the Bannan of old, and we've seen it for 2 or 3 games now where he really seems to have come into his own again, which is.
I'm excited about him now. I'm excited again. It feels like it is, like you just said, like the Bannan of old. I think it is. It's an exciting time. I think the main thing that he lost, like not last season, the season before, was Wembley. I think he just completely lost it that day, and he kind of seemed to drift out, in and out last season, and we didn't seem to get the full Barry Bannan experience that we used to. So it's nice. It's nice to see him back and being, let's be honest, way above the others. Like man of the match every game I've seen so far, highlights and live. He seems outstanding, and that's a really good place to be for him. So I think he is a confidence player as well. I think it's pretty obvious that he's a confidence player, and his dad said that to us on the pod. So it's good to see, and more of the same, please, Barry.
Yeah, I think that's dead true, and it is great to see him in form. It's great to see him doing what we know he can do, and he looks like he's really enjoying his football. And there's been times where you question whether or not he's just that interested anymore over the course of the last year or so, and to see him kind of playing so well again is brilliant. I thought that Adam Reach had a really good game, and big credit to him. I thought Stephen Fletcher played really well, and I know we said a week ago that Fletcher and Hooper as the front two have got to be the first names on the team sheet, and I think that was proven again because they played really well together. And also credit, and I'm going to have to slightly swallow my words here a little bit because I talked a little bit about Daniel Padilla a week ago and kind of said that he played all right against Sunderland. He's played all right, but he's not a centre half, and he's going to get found out. And I was feeling a little bit sorry for him because he's playing out of position, and he just doesn't look right there. And he was superb against Fulham. He looked every bit a centre half, and I honestly don't know whether or not he has got some kind of previous playing in that position, whether maybe he started out as a centre half.
I seem to remember that he didn't he? I don't know if I've just made that up since he's been playing at centre half, but I seem to remember that that's how he began his career. Or I know, obviously, like Hutch, it was, but I do seem to remember that there's something about, like, I think, was it Watford he was at before us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think they kind of pushed him to a full back position, but I'm pretty sure. I could be completely wrong. It might be one of those things that I've just made up since. But he does look naturally like he's meant to. He's not as tall as you. Well, I don't know how tall he is. He doesn't look tall. But when you stood next to Glenn Louvens, I mean, you might as well be stood next to the Eiffel Tower, aren't you? So, but he looks like he's slotted in now. He looks like he's feeling more comfortable with it. I think we do miss his runs a bit, because I love it when Pudil goes on a run. Poodle. I absolutely love it. But I do hope we sign a centre half and we can just go back to like Poodle in his normal position. But Reach, like you said, he's doing well, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we've got that centre half, haven't we? We're just still waiting for international clearance, which whatever it is, a week and a half down the line seems crazy.
Is one enough? I know, like, that seems really ungrateful, and thank you, Mr. Chansiri, for getting us one. But when you've got literally him, and then you're back to your full back at centre half again, do you not need a bit more cover? Like, should we have let go of Vincent Sasso? Should we? I don't know.
Yes. You see, as soon as we start talking about the Bolton game, I'm really going to piss on your chips for everything you've just said, but I'm not going to start doing it yet.
Hold on to your negativity. On that subject, by the way, my understanding is that Vincent Sasso wanted to go. It wasn't a matter of whether or not we kept him. It was he was off.
Hasn't he? I mean, it's just there's only so many mornings you can wake up to Eddie peering through the gym window.
I'm with Sasso. I wanted him to go too.
Oh, shut up, you! He's all right.
We wasn't that good.
I do think we need some sort of backup though. I'm not expecting a world beater because obviously we've signed someone who, according to my darling other half, is really good on FIFA. So that must mean he's amazing.
There we go. That's all you need to know about him, isn't it?
But I do think possibly we do need some sort of backup, even if it's not doesn't need to be a world beater. It needs to be #DanFudge, a shit kicker. But we do need somebody else that we can probably have as backup, I think.
I think that'll all start rolling as the transfer window starts to close. Is it Tuesday it shuts or on Monday?
We say that every year. We say it every bloody year.
It will
It's Thursday, isn't it?
It'll all, we'll end up.
It's true.
It's Thursday, Jim White night then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey.
Yellow ties at the ready.
Yeah. We should do a podcast while we're watching, the transfer window show.
Well, we should, but no, chuffing happens. We'd just be sat watching telly. Everything was not
a busy one for us.
We nearly signed Jordan Rhodes on the last one. Well, we did, but we didn't. But we did.
But we were also playing a game as well, weren't we? We were away at Bristol City on the
we were, yeah,
on the night of the transfer deadline, so it was a weird game to be at. I can't really imagine us being that busy on deadline day because there's only maybe 1-2 positions that we're looking to strengthen in now.
I actually wouldn't be surprised though if we don't let a couple go. I think there are a couple of people that I would be upset about leaving, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be devastated because there are a couple of people who we all know I would be devastated if they left. But I think there may be 1 or 2 that we wouldn't be surprised and we kind of go, that's a shame. But I can see that happening.
We'll talk a bit about potential outgoings a little bit in a bit more depth a little bit later on. But to kind of wrap up the Fulham game, I'm guessing you've both seen the goal, which I thought was some good work by Bannan,
brilliant,
great ball by Reach, and a proper striker's finish as well from Fletcher, who was that kind of player where you just knew he wanted a goal that day. He wanted to score. Obviously, he had the one that was disallowed for offside. Quite rightly, he was miles offside. But he was determined. He was gonna was going to score.
He's
and he's a
like
proper he's a striker in form, isn't he?
He is, and he's looked like that a lot this season. Well, I say a lot this season, but you know what I mean? He's looked like that a lot recently, where he's looked like he's been desperate to score, and I think we kind of tailed off a bit on that at the end of last season. Even though obviously we finished very, very well, you know, we got into the semis again, but I do feel like that kind of urgency kind of drifted out a bit, and he does look desperate to get a goal all the time, and whether it's to prove his point and to get his place back and whatever else, but he does look good. He looks like he's sharp and ready. Not sharp. Let's not say sharp. He's not that fat.
Oh no, Vic, what have you done?
So that's
I think the favourite bit of mine of the match, of the goal, was the rugby tackle by the steward on Boyd to stop him celebrating with Fletcher.
That was
brilliant. Yeah, it was a real look at disdain, what are you doing?
That was really strange, wasn't it? Because he proper ran over as well to stop him. It wasn't like he just
there was someone on the pitch. There was someone onto the pitch. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Boyd just got in the way. But my favourite bit was after the game when the official photos came out, and there's like half of James's head on one of the celebration shots with Fletcher, and then there's Tom. Tom looks really proud. He looks like a proud dad. I sent him a photo of it. Your friend Tom just sent him this picture, like, oh my god, look how proud you look. And he was like, oh my god, I really do. He looks like my son. He looked like, you can imagine Eddie is on a Sunday morning at the side of Thirsk Falcons. He looked that chuffed with Fletcher, and your friend John looks insane, absolutely insane on it. But
as in insanely happy or just insane?
Just insane. He just looks insane. I'll send it you in a bit.
All right, cool. I've not seen that. I didn't realise that I was on a picture. That's good.
But
right, so that that's the worst bit as well. Thanks, Rich.
No beard.
I've got tons of hair on my chin. Why can't they photograph that? All right, so that's Fulham. Great 3 points. Great day out. Really, really happy with that, and great to get first 3 points on the board and a clean sheet as well. And fair play to the back four, who I thought played really, really well. So that's the positive bit. Now we're going to hand over to Rich to talk about the negative, because you were at the, what's it called these days? The Macron
Stadium. On the Tuesday evening,
Stadium. On Tuesday evening. Now, this was from the good to the bad to the crazy.
It was a bit, yeah. It was the first 70 minutes were awful. Bannan didn't really look anything at all during the game. Reach looked poor, I thought, at left back. It's not really his position, I don't think. Where else can I go? Palmer, I thought, didn't play very well. Every time Forestieri got hold of the ball and didn't pass it to Winnall, and Winnall flung his arms in the air, it happened about 3 times, I think. It just looked like, there's something going off with those two guys, big time. And yeah, it was just, for 70 minutes, it was absolutely awful. Nigel, my friend who was with, said it was as bad as the Preston game. I didn't go to a Preston game, so didn't kind of experience it, but I'm guessing I did experience the Preston game.
You not venture that far into Lancashire, Rich?
No, don't bother with Preston. No. But yeah, they were just poor for 70 minutes until Carlos, I think too late, made the three changes where he brought on Big Dave, Joao and Matthias, and those 3 changed the game. Although,
can we just
hang on. Although Nuyu missed from 2 yards. Yes.
But did you just say that he changed the game?
I said between them.
Yeah.
I didn't say
right. So you're including him in it, though, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, bloody.
But he's still bloody.
First, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for me. Yeah. They changed the game between them, and I'm glad Rhodes got a couple. That's good for his confidence. Although I missed his second goal because we decided to bugger off on 80 minutes.
We encouraged you to leave as well.
Yes, missed the fight between the managers and the stewards and whatever, and also Rhodes' second goal. We were literally, I was walking out when I heard the goal go in. I'm thinking, right, do I go back in? Could be extra time tonight. Do I stay? But I didn't, and we didn't really make.
That's actually a good point. You did leave early, and it could have gone to extra time, couldn't it?
Could have, absolutely, yeah.
Could have lost a third of your money there.
I never leave early, but I kind of got dragged out. Nigel was like, "Right, I've had enough. We're going," and I went with it.
A miserable sod, isn't he?
Yeah. But we there was somebody else in the car with us who left at 3-0, so he didn't see anything at all. So he was, he sat waiting for us outside, and we got a flyer, so we didn't get stuck in the car park for 3 hours like James does.
Yes, well done. I think that's a very smart move, actually. How I've not watched the highlights back, so there were misses by Joao, by Nuyu and Matthias, which, from what I hear, it would have been easier for them to score. How bad were they, misses?
The Nuyu one was 2 yards out at the far post. The ball got crossed. I think it was Matthias that crossed it. I think from memory, put it on a sixpence right on his toe, and how he missed, I don't know. It was easy to score. Matthias probably didn't kind of
miss, though, aren't they? I'm not just saying that because it's Dave, but you look at goals that we've scored. You remember that season that we got to Wembley? Like, it's only 2 seasons ago, but every week it was like goal of the week competition. But when it came to 2 yards out, we couldn't bloody score. And sometimes it just happens, doesn't it? But yet you could score from the halfway line, and no one would even question it.
But I think the difference is when we started playing was when they started playing to Rhodes' strengths. They started getting into his head, into his feet, putting crosses in towards him. And that's what we don't do when Rhodes plays. And for me, having watched the Carlos stuff back on social media, the incident with the stewards and the way he ran out, I think he looks like a man under pressure at the minute. I'm not sure... I'm edging towards Carlos out at the minute. I'll be honest, because I don't think he's getting the best out of the players. I think maybe he's lost them. I don't know. With no consistency to the team at the minute, we're chopping and changing all the time. I understand why we're playing.
In fairness, we were going to chop and change for that game, weren't we?
But just generally, I think through the season, and it was last season as well. The sign of any good side is a spine through the team. And we change it all the time. We absolutely change it all the time, and it's never we're never going to get anywhere. But we haven't got 7 or 8 players who are playing week in, week out, and then we just change it all on to because of injury or whatever.
I think we need to try and get as well, though. Some managers do that. Like you look at sort of like your old school managers, see your Holloways, your Warnocks. Those sort of managers do that, but they look at the opposition and they change for that. But it doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't seem like we do. And at the moment, it seems to be whoever's in the sin bin can't bloody play. It's like, well, why are they in the sin bin in the first place? I wouldn't dare kick off in front of my manager at work. It just wouldn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
And I think there's got to be something said for the discipline, because I think sometimes it's all too easy. If we had an argument tonight, it's very easy for me to ring up Don Howson and tell him all about it. There's no need for that. Do you know what I mean? It just needs to be sorted there and then. It shouldn't even be started. It shouldn't. And I think sometimes it's very much like, you've got kids, Rich. It's very much like a teacher blaming naughty kids in a classroom and not actually controlling them in the first place. And it has seemed like that a bit at the start of this season. And
has he lost it in that case?
Yeah,
that's what I'm worried about at the minute. I kind of think we've got some bloody good players, and is it any coincidence that are they being told to play a certain way that means we're not getting the best out of them?
I think.
It is interesting, isn't it? That for the first time we start actually playing the ball into the box for Jordan Rhodes, and he scores 2 goals. Yeah. And it's like we've sort of been crying out a little bit for this, and sort of saying, we've signed someone that scores goals, but he scores a particular kind of goal. You've got to play to the strengths of someone like that.
He's not a strong guy, is he? As well,
we were playing it long to him, weren't we? We were using him as a target man,
and he's not.
And we know that doesn't work. He doesn't respond to that.
He's not strong enough. He's not a strong. He's not a physically strong man.
And he nearly got a hat trick.
Yeah.
On paper, for me, the front 2 should be Rhodes and Hooper, and that's not necessarily. I'm saying on paper, not necessarily on form as it is now. On paper, those 2 were the 2 that would start for me all day long. But Fletcher's playing, scoring goals at the minute, probably because we're playing to his strengths more than we are.
Because Fletcher is reasonably strong, isn't he? Fletcher seems physically a lot stronger than Rhodes in the way that he can just push people off him, whereas Rhodes is. I've never seen them up close, but I'd imagine he's a bigger, bulkier guy than Fletcher. Fletcher looks quite slim. Rhodes looks quite like bulky and like he works out a lot, but he just doesn't seem to have that strength behind him to throw people off him that I just find quite strange. But maybe that's why he's never reached, if you're scoring 30, 40 goals a season, why aren't you in the Premier League? That might be why.
Yeah, like I say, I'm getting a bit frustrated with now with the chopping and changing, the play decent one half and then not for another, and even only 20 minutes the other night we played decent. We need to be playing. You know, every team has a 15 minutes. Every team in any game, and we're not. You know, so we should be playing. 75 minutes of the game. We should be on top of the games we're winning. So why are we not?
What do you need to see, Rich, for that opinion to change?
I think I need to see players being played where they should be, not playing reach at left back. Bannan, I think probably the other night was probably getting a bit deep, and and we all know it doesn't work with him deep. Abdi wasn't very good the other night. I just think we need to be getting a bit more consistency into the team. And is it time for the change? Because they've lost it with Carlos. I don't know that it's something needs to change. And
You think it's past the point of no return?
I wouldn't say we're quite there yet, but I think what are we on now? The what date are we on? The 24th of August. I if it carries on like it is, I think he's got to the end of September maximum. Because we're not rooting any trees. We're not looking like world beaters.
No, but we took 3 points from Fulham in a game that they really had to win that game because they've made a really poor start to the season as well, and we beat them and we kept a clean sheet. Yeah, obviously we went out on Tuesday night, and I said last week I wouldn't give a toss at 9:30 on Tuesday if we're out of the League Cup, and I've got to stand by that and say I'm not.
I get that.
Fussed. Yeah, obviously there were negatives to the performance, but for me I can kind of write that off if we go to Bolton and get a good result. So for you, if we go to Bolton and win, that's still not really enough.
I think we need to stay at an improvement and then playing for 90 minutes or that 75 minutes minimum. That's what I need to see. Kind of just think. Yeah, we're really going to do this year. I'm not confident. I'm really not. And you know me, I am a happy clapper like everybody else, and I'll stand there and I'll never stand and shout Carlos out. Yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking out loud a minute.
I've said before, I mean, I'd never ever boo a man in a blue and white shirt ever. I can't begin to even think about it. But I find it, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I find it very strange that there's such a lack of discipline with Lee Bullen as number 2, because Bully is one of the strongest, most straight talking, hard people, and he could easily tell you off. I mean, when I worked at Wednesday, he was team captain. He wasn't club captain, but he would easily tell you off, no questions. And I can't see how this is happening underneath him either. So whether or not it's very much Carlos's team, Carlos's say so, and Bully's a bit more in the background and more on the playing side of things, I don't know. But I find that quite strange, because I can't imagine a team that's led secondly by Lee Bullen to be so lacking discipline.
What do you mean by lacking discipline?
Well, I mean, scrapping on the training ground, being banned each from playing because she fought with each other, refusing to play in certain positions, refusing to pass to each other, so it sounds, from the Bolton game. I just think, footballers from being 12 years old, if they're good, they are told they're a hero from being 12, and they get everything handed to them on a plate easily, no questions asked. Yes, Mr. Forestieri, yes, Mr. Winnall, you can have whatever you want. And it takes a special kind of manager to bring those sorts of players into line and to actually say, you can't just kick off and say, you're not playing in this position, I'm playing in that position, this is what you get paid for, do it. And I think it's very, very strange that all of a sudden, again, and I know it's the same player that comes up every time, I know it's Forestieri, but he's evidently got some sort of diva attitude, which, yes, it's awful, and yes, it's crappy because we're paying money to see him and he's reacting like that. But at the same time, if you see how a footballer's life goes from a young age, I can understand why they become like that. I really can. But it needs somebody to toe the line and to say, no, I'm sorry, you're playing on that side. Get on that chuffing coach.
It needs somebody to manage people like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
But
you
that's
look
what I mean about
know.
Bullen. That's what Bullen is. That's what he does. That's what he's amazing at. You look at that team that won at Cardiff, you know, a lot of them were, you know, probably behind closed doors, were a bit of a nightmare, I'd imagine, just because of the level they were at and how well they were doing and the amount of nightclubs in Sheffield at the time, whatever. But Bully towed the line then, and I just find it very strange that at the moment it seems to be, oh, if you're not going to play, I'm going to ring Dom. I'll tell him. I
think you look at somebody like Man United have got Ibrahimovic. I bet he's not the easiest guy in the world to manage. But how much bad stuff do we hear coming out about him? That you don't generally, because probably he's been. And I know we're talking Mourinho compared to Carvalho.
That's media training as well, isn't it? Because Mourinho would not ring up whoever the equivalent of Dom Howson is and tell him, because you just get on with it behind closed doors and you tell him, shut up, button your mouth, get on with your job.
Carlos has dropped people in it recently. He dropped Rose in it on the radio live at the end of the Huddersfield game last year. Who else has he mentioned this year? But he's dropped people in it, and that's not, for me, that's not great.
I think even, you know, last season we're going back to a horrible place in our history, but when Fessi refused to get on that coach, we shouldn't have known about that. The amount of players that are out injured week on week that I bet you any money have refused to get on a coach or refused to play in a certain position, and you don't know. And I like the honesty. I love the honesty of the club, and I love this openness, and I love the transparency of going to the steering group. Well, not last time, but I love that idea. But is it a bit too open? Do we need to know these things? Like, because you pay 500 quid a year, do you need to know what Fessi said in training?
It doesn't work that way, does it? Because the thing with Forestieri a year ago is he was trying to get a move, so his agent will have leaked that to the press because it suited him for the fans to know. He needed everyone to know. It needed to become a situation. If the club had just passed it off as, oh, he's injured, and no one ever knows about it, then no one ever knows about it. You know, it was his party that wanted that to be common knowledge. So I think that's a bit unfair on the club, because I think that they probably would have preferred to have kept it quiet,
the club,
and they didn't really say anything about it.
I think sometimes it's not so much a language barrier with Carlos, but I do think sometimes he says things that afterwards you think, why have you told people that? Why have you not just said it was an injury? Why do we know that Winnall and Fessi have had a scrap? Was it? I don't know. Like, genuinely, was it something on Twitter? Was it on Alms Talk? I haven't got a clue. But we shouldn't know that. All we should know is he's injured. He's out for 3 games.
Okay, point of order now, because listening to you two, I'm about ready to slip my wrist here. It sounds, listening to you two, it sounds like we're bottom of the league. You know, relegation is all but guaranteed. The club's
You're not allowed to
in
look at the league
absolute
tables,
turmoil.
James, so I wouldn't know.
You know, it is absolute. You know, it is carnage. Have you not? Are neither of you seeing anything positive at the moment?
The Sunderland game, I was frustrated the first half, but the second half I thought they battled really well, you know. But we're playing. Where is Sunderland? I don't know where Sunderland are in the league. I haven't looked at the league table, but they I guess they're on a similar kind of run of form to us. When we come up to something that's really good, how are we going to cope? We're just getting by at the minute, I think.
Should we not worry about that when it happens?
Yeah. But I think at the minute we're just getting by rather than confidently beating teams. I'm trying not to be negative, but I just feel it a little bit at the minute. I'm kind of can't see the wood for the trees, and I would love nothing more than Collis to get it right. You know, this just be a blip at the start of the season, and then we just go on an almighty run. And what the hell were we worrying about in that podcasting on August 24th? You lot whinging, and look where we are now.
Yeah. Totally, I completely. There's nobody that wants them to do better than us. We, you know, I don't want to pay money to watch shite every week. I don't. But I also, I want to. I understand it's entertainment. I get that. But I wouldn't go back and watch a play again if it was shit the first time. And eventually, if it carries on like that, it's gonna affect things this season. And it is. You know, we should be off to a flyer. We finished 4th last season. We should be off to an absolute flyer. We've not lost anyone major, apart from, obviously, the do with Fessi and Winnall. We've not lost anybody huge. Nobody's been sold. We've had a couple of injuries, you know, Louvens, Hutch, whatever. But there's nothing that says we can't get 3rd, 2nd, 1st this year. There's nothing. So why already are we thinking, ugh?
Well, I don't know. That's my question to you, because I'm feeling all right about it. I found second half against Sunderland kind of restored a bit of faith for me, and to go to Fulham and win and play well. I'm not paying a lot of attention to Tuesday, and I guess other people are paying more attention to that, and that's fair enough. That's up to them. But I think if we go to Bolton and get a good result there, then it's kind of game on, and we go into the international break with a lot to feel positive about. I'm not saying that I'm 100%. Believing that Carlos is the guy to lead us forward now, because I think it was me that said that we have to make a strong start to the season. There's no excuse if not, and we haven't done it. But we won the last league game that we played. We kept a clean sheet. We've got a very winnable game coming up on Saturday.
I think if you look at it,
I'll tell you where I am at the moment. The thing that's bringing me down as a Wednesday fan at the moment is everyone else just moaning about stuff. That's the thing that I'm trying to avoid.
I absolutely get that.
I'm quite happy going to the games. I'm quite happy watching the way that we're playing at the moment. Certainly against Fulham and the majority of the game against Sunderland. But other fans are doing my absolute nutting.
No, I agree with that. That's what's really got me down. That's why I stopped reading the SWFC hashtag recently. And then I'm not kind of. I think a lot of people just whinge because there's a pass gone astray, and that's it. The whole world fallen down. It's not that. I think for me, if you put a spin on it, we've won 1 in 5, and then you kind of that's not promotion form. And I know a couple of them, 2 in 5 actually cup games. So it doesn't. Yeah, I want it to be right, but it just doesn't feel 100% right at the minute.
As it stands, it doesn't feel like we're going to go one better than last season, does it?
No.
And that's where we should be aiming for. I completely, I was more than ready for a very average season this season. I really was. But I think if we want to go one better than last season, and Mr. Chansiri has made that quite clear that is his aim, it's not looking right so far, and there isn't one bad player in that team. There isn't. There's nobody that's bad. We've seen them all have a great day. All of them. There's nobody that we can say, oh, they're awful. Maybe Dave Jones.
There's new.
There's not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that team it currently is not playing to its potential.
No.
And whether that needs them shaking up or whether that needs somebody who manages them shaking up, I don't know. It's not. I'll just watch.
I think the pair of you just need to cheer the hell up, to be honest.
Oh,
have you had bad days at work or something? Right. Before we move on from the Bolton game, 2 quick questions. Rich, seeing as you were there, how did Forestieri play?
Meh. Is probably the best way to describe it.
Was he effective or ineffective?
No, ineffective. I thought,
okay.
In my opinion.
And the other thing, and I guess this is open to all three of us, really, is I guess we've probably all seen the video of the Carlos thing with the stewards and stuff. Do you read anything into that? Do you think there's anything there? Could there be kind of repercussions for Carlos?
He looked a man under pressure. I think he looked a man under pressure then.
I think it was made out to be a lot worse than it was on the radio.
Oh, it was.
On Radio Sheffield, they made out like he'd been throwing punches and all sorts. The video shows the guy sitting down. The steward says, no, you're not sitting here. And the steward was very heavy-handed with him. And you get that with stewards. I got one that took a can of Vimto off me once, for Christ's sake. But
not Vimto.
Yeah, I know. Like, what chuff am I going to do with a can of Vimto? That was pre-season as well. It was pre-season against like Port Vale or something. Oh my god, I'm sat with my dad. But still, I think the steward was very heavy-handed. I think Carlos got a really bad rap for it until we all saw it and went, well, he just got moved. I didn't see the kerfuffle that happened where a few of the coaching staff ran over. You couldn't really see on that video on social media. But it was made out to be a lot worse than it was. And I was genuinely, that night, I was really worried about what was going to happen. Like, is Carlos going to be sanctioned? Is he going to be banned for a bit? Is he going to be, But actually, it was nothing, was it? You've seen worse.
No, it wasn't nothing.
There's numerous managers that's been a lot worse happen.
Yeah. It was kind of like just a bit of store with a teacup drama, wasn't it? It was something and nothing. And first time I watched the video, I was like, "Ooh, that's a bit." And then you watch it again, and you just think, "Oh, it's no, is it?"
It was very European, wasn't it?
It is managing a team that's losing the game, and he's he's a bit stressed out, and the steward starts getting a little bit heavy-handed with him and a bit over the top, and it's all just kind of I don't know. I actually thought the opposite. I actually thought it was very British. It was very, you can't sit there. No, you can't sit. No, I've told you can't sit there. And where I've said you can't sit there, you can't sit there. It was all just a bit. It was a bit stupid. It was a bit stupid. Anyway, let's put the Bolton game to bed. Let's forget about it. Let's forget about the EFL Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever it's called. The good thing is we don't have to sit up till bloody 4:15 in the morning. So,
That's true.
let's thank our lucky stars for that one.
Oh, Lord, I would have liked a trip to the Olympic Stadium. I would have liked that.
Yeah, I saw that earlier and thought, I don't think it works like that though, does it? Because we wouldn't necessarily have been the same number ball that Bolton would have been. So we.
Oh, stop being all finicky. Just look at it.
Well,
we would have been playing West Ham away.
I like West Ham. I've had a thing for West Ham since Cardiff. I think they were lovely because they were in the playoff the day after us, and their fans were brilliant.
They're not your third team, are they?
No, that's Tottenham.
Behind Tottenham.
No, Bolton.
So how many teams have you got?
I've got three, right? And what happened was, when we went down, I just presumed Bolton were better, and their accent sounded a bit like ours, as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old. And I decided they were my second team. I know, I don't know why. I've always had a Bolton shirt every year. I don't, not recently, obviously, but I did. I always used to have a Bolton shirt. When we signed Joey O'Brien, I knew everything about him. Everything, even his favourite sandwich. And I nearly went to Bolton University. Honestly, I was set. Because I thought, well, if I've got to go to uni away from Sheffield, I might as well go and watch Bolton. I'll go to Bolton.
Have you got a Wednesday Bolton half and half scarf as well?
It's the third one. It's Wednesday, Bolton, Tottenham.
Oh, right, there we go.
But I did like Tottenham when they were shy, so that's all right. They still are, so it's all right.
Yeah, I don't believe in second teams or third or fourth.
Apart from Den Bosch.
I think it's all right having a second team. I think it's all right having a foreign team that you follow as well.
In a Premier, you've got to have a Premier League team, haven't you? Because sometimes, like when you sign up for fantasy football and stuff, you can't sign up without picking a team. And that's how it kind of stemmed to Tottenham. And I liked them. They were kind of like the underdog. And, I went to White Hart Lane once on my own. I go to a lot of football matches on my own. And I don't know why. It just tends to be if I'm staying somewhere and there's a game on, I'll go. And that happened with Bolton and Tottenham. So
nothing to do with being unpopular or anything.
Yeah.
Tottenham are crap as well at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Bolton, Tottenham on Wednesday. I picked these three shite teams.
Is
this a Premier League podcast now?
I like Barcelona.
Not yet. All right. Let's sort transfers. We've touched a little bit on this because the transfer window is as we record this now, almost exactly 1 week away from closing for the summer transfer window. We've not done a lot of business. Three players that we've brought in. Do you think that we need any more? We've kind of touched on that, but more importantly, who do you think needs to go out?
I'm just about to go to the Bible for this, so I'm currently looking at Transfers 11's account on Twitter.
Jesus isn't going to tell you, is it?
Yeah, and he actually said before the weekend, "Hoorah!" And then he scored a hat-trick, so I think that's a load of old tosh.
Well, Mr. Chansiri told us that the steering group, we've got no chance of Hoorah. Because of the way that the fans reacted to Winnall.
Forestieri's never going to play for the club. That's another one. That's another one we've had there. And then we've had Bannan, haven't we, the rumour today? But that wasn't from Transfers 11.
No, that seems to have some traction to it in terms of the fact it sounds like there has been an approach of sorts which has been very quickly rebuffed. You can't see that, can you? I can't see Bannan going anywhere. I think he's made himself very integral to
I think middle of last season I could have seen that happening just because he didn't seem, like we said, he didn't seem happy. But I think now he seems really keen. He's a right mardy little sod when he don't get past the ball. But I think he seems happy again, and I think that's really good to see. So no, don't let him go. There's no point. What are you going to get in for him? If it's anything less than 11 million, he's not worth more than Jordan Rhodes. So he's not worth less than Jordan Rhodes. So no.
Anyone that you do want to see us offload? Anyone you think they've really got to go?
Knew you.
I think you could do with a move. Mainly, I think he's not getting as much time here as he probably could, or not should, but could. And I think he could do a job for somebody, probably League One, bottom of the Championship. I think he really could.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's just not. It kind of weird. I think we need to be looking for better players than Nuyu if we're going to sign someone. There's no point signing somebody equal or worse.
I'd always wishing that I'd always like look out for him, and he wouldn't get a boo off me ever. But I do think maybe if someone came in for him, I don't see a problem with that. I'd also get rid of Tuffy and Glass Shoulder Abdi, to be honest. I'm fed up with him. I don't know how many times, right? I can understand Hutch hurting his knee because he's got a bad knee, he plays football, he runs a lot, he's going to hurt his knee. But how many times can he dislocate his shoulder in a football match? I just don't understand it. So get rid of him.
There is definitely an underlying injury there, isn't there?
Well, there is, isn't there? But
I would think in the circumstances, it's unlikely that there's a team that's going to be all that willing to sign him.
I just think I think sometimes transfers don't work out, and I think he might be one of those that just won't work out for us. And that's just the way football is. Not every transfer that not every player that comes into the club is a world beater and works exactly like they did at the previous club.
Well, I don't know. Wim Yonk was great.
Yeah, exactly. There's a prime example.
It's part of the problem with players like Abdi, and I'm going off on a tangent here, but have we got too many midfielders that all want to play the same position? Or too many players that all want to play the same position? Bannan wants to play as an attacking midfielder. Forestieri ultimately wants to play as an attacking midfielder in that number 10 role. Abdi wants to play in that role. And no one actually wants to do the more defensive work. Is that actually the problem?
I really think that our kind of how we are at the diamond in midfield is like how we're suited with a defensive midfielder, somebody behind the front two, whether it be Hooper or Fessi or whatever, and then two shit kickers, along with a shit kicker at the side of Lees, Tom Lees. That's what I think we need just to get a little bit. We really did well 2 years ago by closing people down. And we haven't done that for the last two seasons, for the last season and this now. We're not closing people down. But we did the second half against Sunderland when Bannan was doing it. And that's when I think we play much better when we're closing people down.
Yeah, I think we hit upon a formation that worked, didn't it? I mean, we talked about it last week against Sunderland, and we kind of carried that through. It wasn't exactly the same, but we carried that through against Fulham, and we rode our luck a bit, but ultimately it worked. Which brings us really then to Saturday and a trip to Bolton. Now, last year was the first time that we'd ever played Bolton. It was quite earlier in the season. I think it was earlier than we're playing them this time. And well, it wasn't brilliant. It was a pretty dismal day all round, and it was poor. We've really got to put the record straight. We've still never beaten Bolton. I mean, we've only played them twice, but we've only got 1 point from those two, and we really didn't play well either occasion against them last season. This is the time we've got to just get the job done, isn't it? Surely.
These are the games we need to be going away to and coming away with at least a point. With it being away, and I'd be even happy at a point. I think I want to see us go there and come back with 3. And if it's just a 1-0 win, I'm kind of all right with that. They're the kind of wins. The things where you think we're not going to get 3 points, where we really need to go and get them to kick on.
There's no reason why we can't, though, is there? If we can go to Fulham and win, we're not in great form. And all right, Bolton have actually, I think they won on last Friday night. They beat Birmingham, played all right, actually. I thought they were much better than Birmingham. I watched that game. And they did all right in midweek. I think they ultimately lost, but they put in a decent performance and they were ahead for some of that game, although I'm kind of going off my memory here, which is not good at the best of times. But generally speaking, it's not been a great start to the season for them. So they're going to be absolutely desperate, aren't they? For
I think they got that win out
for their lives. But
they got that first win out of the way because they got that first win out of the way, didn't they? And that's what always worries me when you get into a team where they've not won all for so many games or whatever. And I was kind of feeling about that. So I'm glad they kind of got that win out of the way. So
Yeah,
It's
but
just
it was same for us, wasn't it? We both got our first win in the same weekend, so it's actually, it's I suppose in a way it's an informed game. It's two teams that are in form in terms of the league. We are. I mean, I have to point out the fact that we're technically, in terms of league, we are unbeaten since the opening day of the season. So it's three games without defeat in the league, which is a very happy clap away of looking at it.
I'm loving the positive spin.
But it is also a fact. It is also true. So yeah, we've just got to go there and win. What is have you got any expectations in terms of who's going to play or who's not going to play? And
Christ, it'll all change again, won't it? We know what it's like.
Do you think Forestieri will figure in this one? Is it his kind of game away at a team like Burton?
Bench. I think he'll start on.
Yeah.
I think he'll go back to Hooper and Fletcher up front. Without a doubt, I want to see Rhodes in there because I really like Rhodes. We all know what a great player he is. I just want to see his play to his strengths, but I think that's really it's going to be Hooper and Fletcher, and there'll be a shitload of other changes because obviously it was from the Bolton game where he made 7 changes, so I know that'll be another 7.
Yeah, we'd expect the kind of usual suspects back in. I think David Jones will probably play, and you'd expect the fullbacks to change. Maybe Reach to be playing in a more advanced position rather than playing at fullback, depending what kind of formation we go with. If we do play Diamond, then it might be that Reach is playing more as a kind of a wing back, as we've seen him do a couple of times.
See, Bolton the other night played 3 at the back, and I think if we haven't got the players for that. But if we got 2 really good centre halves, I think that we'd be much stronger playing that kind of formation than anything. But that's.
But we haven't even got 3 centre halves, have we?
No, correct.
That point.
A slight issue.
Yes, I did say that though. Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say about about Burton before we move on to our
Are you
bits?
going, James?
I am.
It's like second real ale capital, isn't it? So I think you'd be quite happy there.
No, it's rubbish.
Is it? I went on a stag do there. It was amazing.
No, that's absolutely. He must have been drunk before he got there.
Yeah,
I went. So last season we played. It was a Tuesday night game, and me and my mate Tom, we both cleared our diaries for the afternoon. We got there about 2:00 in the afternoon. No pubs open until 4. At all. We couldn't find a single pub that was open. And then when we did, they were all old man pubs selling like really boring, like bitter and smooths and just kind of all the beers that no one's drunk for 10 years. So it was absolutely rubbish. It was the most disappointing all round. It was one of the most disappointing days of my life because the football was pretty dire as well.
We went to Burton before. First game of the season a few years ago, it's Derby. Was it 2-2 that day, was it, when Reedy scored late on? We went to Burton before the match then, and it's Burton. Enough said.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
I filled up my car
we're not
in a petrol station opposite the ground. That was nice.
In Burton? Did it sell any nice beers in there?
It did sell beer, but I was driving back from Leicester, so I didn't really bother. But yeah, I saw the ground. Nice.
There we go. I think the ground is probably the highlight of Burton, to be honest.
Vic's petrol station tours of the UK.
I need to fill up tomorrow. I'll let you know where I'm going.
Oh, fantastic!
All right, live tweet your fuel experience, please. Right, any bits this evening?
I've got a little bit. So as we know, legendary artist Pete McKee is a huge Wednesday fan, and tonight he has released his latest piece of art. I think it's quite poignant for Pete McKee as well, because Rich and I went to Tramlines, because Pete McKee's also in the Everly Pregnant Brothers, and we went to go see. In fact, James, you were there. You just disappeared.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
He was swanning off Chris Hull.
He
was with his new friend Chris Hull.
Oh, James, I love you. Oh, I love you.
Friend.
Did I tell you I'm part Irish, Chris?
Friend.
But like, obviously, there when they sing,
Have you got a
when they sing there, they sing Amy Winehouse's Rehab, don't they? And they say I should have gone to Rotherham, blah 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 blah. Said I should have gone to Leeds, and I said fuck off. And at the end, they all said like, there's one good thing about Leeds, and it's is it liver that he had? Is it his liver he had transplant? They said they do like fucking good transplant operations, and Pete McKee was on stage, and I think this piece of artwork for him is a really big deal because obviously he's been very, very poorly. He's had his transplant, but he's better now. And the piece of art that he's brought out is just outstanding. It's not based on any particular
really is,
player.
isn't it?
He said it looks a bit like Hurst or Sheridan, but it's not based on anybody. And he said, I think the quote he said was, "We'd all give our right arm to wear that shirt, kiss the badge, and kneel on that ground." And it was very, very true. And I'd quite like if he could go in as Pete McKee, as the famous Sheffield artist, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and read out what he's wrote about that picture to those players before a match. It might spur them on a bit because it's really emotional and it's a beautiful picture. It's on sale. I had a look tonight. The big one's 40 quid for the print. Like, we're going to get it. It's absolutely stunning. So yeah, have a look at that. I've retweeted it. I think Rich will have probably retweeted it from our account. If not, he'll be doing it now. But it's breathtaking. It's a beautiful, beautiful image that we all wish we could have been that person.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the fact that it's the old cop in the background, the uncovered cop,
It's beautiful.
which has kind of like the weird kind of point at the top of it. It's like it was a weird shape, wasn't it? The old cop. So it is an absolutely wonderful bit of art, and fair play to Pete. He's put together something pretty incredible there, and yeah, I agree with you that it's something that we're all going to want to own. Rich, have you got any bits for us?
Yeah, and I'm having a brain fart as to what I said they were going to be, but I have, yes. Yeah, it was about the 150th dinner, that was it, which it looks like I'll be the only the member
Too
of
much
the
money.
podcast.
Too much money. Why your arse on 50?
Yeah, well, you know.
Bloody hell. £200
Why
a ticket.
I wish, Christ. They're not 200, it's 125.
They are if you want to mingle with Paul Pashley beforehand.
No, that's 175, I think you can, plus that. I don't have to worry about the VAT. I've got a business. Anyway, so yeah, great to see that John Hawkes will be there. I know people have got a lot excited about Ron Atkinson being there, but having seen him do a dinner after dinner speak recently, and then talk more about Aston Villa and Sheffield Wednesday in Sheffield.
Is that the one that we all went to? We all went to that.
No.
Even then, he was dull, wasn't he? It wasn't like the big Ron that we saw on Big Brother.
But people like Arksy will always be good to see. I don't think, it's. I'm looking forward to that evening. It should be really good. So it's good to see those signing up to that today.
Lads, do you know what I realised today as well? I have booked off the day after Al's in the park just in case I get drunk with you. So are you going to book it off as well? Maybe.
I don't think I'm going.
Oh.
I'm going to Al's in the Park, but the day after I'm actually in Manchester at Soccer X.
Oh, well, I'll get you two. I'll just sit in Hillsborough Park on my own. Bloody hell.
What? Drink you alcohol?
Yeah. Well, what else are you meant to do in Hillsborough Park?
Sorry.
Walk dog.
Yeah.
Although I don't take her anymore because they take the first year I took Rosie to Al's in the Park. She I used to sponsor a dog from Support Dogs UK. Well, I still do sponsor a dog from Support Dogs UK, and they send you like a little mascot that's like their dog mascot called Murdoch. And when she was a bit randy, because she's secretly James's daughter. When she was a bit randy, when she was a puppy, she used to hump this dog all the time. And then we saw the man dressed as the mascot at Al's in the Park, and she went up to him and just humped his leg for about 10 minutes. It was brilliant. So I might take her along again just in case he's there.
Which
Okay.
man was this she was humping?
I pre-warned him. I said, I just need to warn you now. I said, my dog really likes like Murdoch. She's like obsessed with him. And like this guy inside, like, oh, it's all right, love her. Like a typical Sheffield bloke. And then my dog started humping his leg and he was like, she does, doesn't she? I was like, oh, God.
Who's Murdoch? Am I being daft? Who's Murdoch?
I just bloody
Is it
told
that guy?
you.
Guy off the 80?
Told you. You listen back, you sods. You don't listen to a word I say. I could have just told you I was pregnant with triplets and none of you'd know.
What? You said something?
Honestly, I don't know why I bother. I'm going to go on Al's Talk podcast.
You shouldn't say that because you'll end up getting rumours going.
Well, they are yours, so.
Yeah. Are they? I must have missed that. Was I asleep at the time?
That's how I usually
There's a
prowl.
word for that, but let's not go there. No, I have got another little bit. I don't know whether anybody has been down Shales Moor over the last couple of days and seen the big the big poster of that Sky have put up.
Oh yeah.
with Leon Clark on it that's been defaced. If you've not seen that, I will post it tonight. It's he's got a very pink face at the minute with some kind of snout and stuff like
It's
that.
pepper,
Don't know what it is. To be
The thing
frank.
is, someone's not even gone to the effort of just drawing on a pig's face. They've actually gone for Peppa Pig. So it's obviously like a dad or a mum.
Brilliant. Wasn't me.
It is good. I've got two bits, and one is just, I remember, I think it was about 12 months ago, where I said how great it is when the England squad was announced just before we went into the
Are you
international
Lord
break,
Hillsborough?
that it must be the first time. What?
Are you going to bring up the England under-23s or whatever it is? Because he's not on.
No. Do you want to just shut up and listen? I said 12 months ago how great it was that we had two Wednesdayites in the England squad. We have today gone one better. There are 3 Sheffield Wednesday fans in the England squad that's been announced today. So Gary Cahill, Jamie Vardy, as obviously we know about, and obviously Harry Maguire now as well. So 3 Sheffield Wednesday fans in the England squad. And I reckon that means that we are probably the most represented club in terms of who they support in the England squad.
Oh, I love a good team.
It's tenuous.
Tenuous.
It's very tenuous, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I'm clutching at straws when I say it, but I reckon that's something that we can claim.
I remember
also
days
have a
when we had
tweet-
players in the England squad.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, well, one step at a time. One step at a time.
Looking
I also
for
have a
England.
tweet of the week, which I need to find because I can't remember where I
While you're
saved
looking
it.
for
It
that,
was from
James.
a non.
Oh.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, while you're looking for that, one of the little bit I wanted to point out this week is it's an anonymous account, but I think we all know who it is. But the Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Society on Twitter this week has been absolutely hilarious. And I got done by it tonight. So whoever it is that runs it, he or she posts up pictures all the time of very well-known players and says, here's a picture of and names a completely random player. Congratulations on your birthday or whatever else. And the amount of replies this person gets saying it's somebody else. And someone replied saying, that's definitely Gary Bannister. And the first name, if you think Gary Bannister, the first name that came into my head phonetically was Guy Branston. So I replied saying, no, it's definitely Guy Branston. And Guy Branston has replied and corrected me as to who it is. So high five to Sheffield Wednesday Supporter Society this week. They have been hilarious. Go and follow them.
Yeah. They did another good one as well. They tweeted a picture of former Owl and now Leicester City manager Craig Shakespeare. It was actually Steve Whitten, but
That was the one. That was the one that said was Guy
Yeah,
Branston.
that's the one.
They also tweeted the other night about how great it would be to get 3 points at Bolton. And that went down an absolute storm as well. It's great just for the replies. Just follow it just for the replies.
I found my tweet of the week, which comes from Baldock Town FC, who are in the South Midlands League Division 1. And I think, Rich, you'll find this particularly funny because they tweeted the day after their game to say, sorry for the lack of updates during the last 10 minutes yesterday. Our Twitter correspondent had to go on as a sub, which made me giggle. So they win...
Yeah, that's absolutely... That sounds like non-league football to me. Although
you don't go on at Hallam.
No. I do the match updates. I've never been asked to go on as a sub quite yet.
Well, not yet. Anyway, you never know.
Well, you never know if the goalkeeper's injured, or I'll always don the old goalkeeper shirt and fling myself around like a cat. Yeah. Just stand and let it hit me.
Put a towel over your head, crouch down for 20 minutes before kick-off.
Right, boys and girls, that will bring us to a close for this week. We will be back next week, but it will be probably a shorter podcast because, of course, it is international break next weekend. So we get a weekend off. Obviously, we talked about Owls in the Park, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit as well next week. But in the meantime, Vic, if anyone wants to track you down, what is your handle?
You can find me at Victoria1867 on the Twitterage.
And Rich?
You can find me at Dicky Owl on Twitter.
Very good. If you want to shut down me, I'm at James Marriott. You can find the podcast at TWWcast and links to all our other pages and whatnot on the website at thewednesdayweek.co.uk. And that brings us to a close for this week. Thank you very much for your company, and we'll speak soon.
It's absolutely
chance here.